Welcome to I Feel Fat Today. I am your downtrodden, burnt out, sleepy host, Kelly Taylor. It's Friday. Thank God we've made it. Um, Happy Tortured Poets Department release day for those who celebrate. Have you listened to the new Taylor Swift album? I have not because I am recording this on Tuesday and it has not come out yet, but I am looking forward to that. That is the new Taylor Swift album coming out at the end of the week is the light at the end of the tunnel that I am very much looking forward to, but also kind of nervous about because I am afraid I am not going to like the album. I can say that as somebody who is a fan of Taylor Swift. I'm slightly worried. I'm a little bit worried I'm not going to enjoy Tortured Poets Department, but boy, based on nothing, based on nothing at all. But boy, do I hope my fears are wrong. So we'll see. At least we have that. By the time you're listening this, by the time you're listening to this, the album would be out and I would have listened. And so I'll give my thoughts next week on the podcast because I know how all of you care so much. All right. Follow us on social media. You can follow the podcast where clips of the show are posted at I Feel Fat Today. You can follow me, your host. You can see me try to keep it together online at Hello, this is Kelly. I post about all the shows that I do there, where you can check that out. Please, if you're a fan of the show, if you're a lurkering listener, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review. Those really, really help. And it would mean a lot to me if you were to leave a review. And most importantly, subscribe to us on YouTube, the I Feel Fat Today podcast. You can find us by just searching up I Feel Fat Today or I Feel Fat Today podcast over on YouTube, and going to any of the links in any of my bios that I am associated with. And you will find your way over to the I Feel Fat Today YouTube page where I implore you to please subscribe. That really helps me. It gets the word out for the podcast, and you'll see when new episodes drop. And we have full video episode podcast over there every Friday. And of course, tell your friends. You have a friend that you think would enjoy listening to a podcast where we talk about diet culture, where we discuss breaking down the relationship that we have with bodies and any other cool thing that we come across. Send them there. Send them my way. Send me to them. How about that? Send the podcast over to your friends, tell them about it, and it helps expand the podcast. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, probably majority ladies, but boys, I see you too, and I appreciate you. It's a solo episode. It's just me and you. I'm going to try to not treat this like a therapy session, but I don't know what emotions might come out. It's Tuesday, and it's already been a really long, long week. I'm here barefaced, no makeup. And by barefaced, I mean I look like an ugly bear. I have no makeup on right now. Because I couldn't get it together. I didn't even want this to be a video podcast, but I thought, no, what's your excuse? Open up your laptop and get this shit recorded. And so that's what I'm doing. And I'm showing up to this podcast with all that I have left in me. I don't know what's been going on, but it has been a painful, painful, painful past few weeks. The energy has been heavy. The I just am burned out. I have a good life. I have good things. I'm very blessed, but I am very, very burnt out. And I feel like I am really getting by the skin of my teeth recently. And that is not a good feeling to have. I have been trying to do more things that are good for me, like for example, making sure that once a week I either pick up groceries from Whole Foods by putting together a pickup order or paying a little bit extra to get those groceries delivered. Having food in the house where I have access to be able to make something quick, have control over all of the ingredients and the food that I've been cooking, cook full meals instead of going out for food has been really, really helpful in, just have how I feel about myself and my body. Um, because that's also been something that has been coming up for me in the past, like, let's call it 2-3 weeks. And I just haven't had a chance to sit down and chat with my listeners about that. So that's that front. And then just the other front of how insanely busy my job has been, which again, very grateful to have a job. And I'm not here to talk about work, but it's just been insane. And I get really frustrated when it feels like my work bleeds out of my, work day job schedule, and it becomes difficult to do more of my passion projects, comedy, podcasting, having a home that doesn't make me feel like I'm losing my mind because it's so dirty, being able to take Finney out for what I feel like is a sufficient amount of walks, to be able to move my body, I feel a sufficient amount. Like, all of those things compound to negatively affect my mental, when work is so crazy and I'm like working all these extended hours and trying to keep up and feel like I'm a hamster spinning on a wheel. So that's been happening recently. And on top of all of that, this past week, ever since Saturday, April 6th, Finney hasn't been feeling well. And that really, really, really is tough. When your dog doesn't feel well, it's a culmination of all of these anxieties that I am trying to keep a hold of and keep myself together, even though I feel like I am cracking up. Like, I feel like my foundation is breaking and I'm just going to slip through the cracks. And it has been really hard to not just like say F it and like throw my hands up at work and like go out in a blaze of glory and like shut my laptop and never talk to these people again. It has been so hard to not say, fuck this. I don't want to do this fucking podcast anymore. What's it for? No one subscribes. No one listens to it. No one likes it. And all of these negative things that I feel that I really believe to be true are, I feel like, are simmering. Like, it's just a pot of water that is simmering, and I don't want it to bubble over, but it's just sitting there simmering. And you know what happens when water simmers? It just the water level starts to decrease until eventually there's nothing left in the pot, and then the whole house, get burst into flames because there was an empty, cast iron pot on the stove, and it went up in flames. And that's where I feel like I'm at, especially because Finney hasn't been feeling well. And today, the day that I'm recording this, in the middle of the day, Joe took Finnegan out to go to the bathroom, and when he came back, he said Finney has some blood in his stool after going to the bathroom. I'm trying to, not be gross. But he was shitting blood. And that was when I was just like, all right, I mean, I gotta take him to the vet. And that is like another anxiety with, I was already feeling like a bad pet owner. I was feeling like a bad mom to Finney anyways, because I wasn't taking him to the vet, even though the past week he hasn't been feeling well, but he had been getting better. And I knew, for all intents and purposes, I knew what was wrong with him, quote unquote, and I had the means to take care of him here as far as like medications go. And talking to my friends that help animals and getting guidance from them, I was basically trying to avoid going to the vet at all costs, but it was still in the back of my mind, like bothering me that I wasn't going. But I also was really, really, really concerned about the financial aspect of that too, because the last time I had taken him to the vet for something, it cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not $100,000, like anywhere between like $500 to $2,000 is like what a vet bill could be. So then when he started shitting blood, I was like, okay, that's it. Like, immediately, it's like you just know when they have to go to the vet, and like you don't even think about cost. You just like get up and go. And I was in the middle of a very busy work day. And so I feel like I am going to crash. Like, I just feel like I am going to hit a bottom, and I am going to, you know, I don't know what it's going to look like. But even as I'm saying that, I'm remembering how on what day was it? Was it Tuesday, the 9th? I had a crazy panic attack, like an insane panic attack. I body convulsing. It was so my whole point is that I'm already there. I'm already breaking. And I don't know why I'm sitting here talking about this into a microphone because none of this is funny and people probably aren't even listening anymore. But I guess I feel like I needed to get that out. And I am by no means stopping this and re recording. This is what we're doing. That's just where I am at. And I think maybe I just need the validation from people that might be listening to tell me to keep going because I'm having a really hard time holding it all together. And I'm trying my best and I'm going to be fine. But like, I just want to have the gumption to like keep this train on the tracks and keep it going. And please send good vibrations to my little Finnegan. He's okay. He's home. The vet wasn't concerned. Or we have, testing being done at labs and on some medication now to help. Why did my default microphone change? Hold on. Okay, I think my mic is back. Weird, 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 weird. My mic. Oh no, that's speaker. That goes here. Oh, now I'm muted. As I was saying that, for some reason, my mic switched from my actual microphone to the computer microphone. Hopefully that's fixed. Okay, so my whole point in saying all this is please send your good vibrations to Finney. He's okay. He's not feeling the best, but he's gonna be okay. And I'm really proud that I got through all of that without crying because I was crying right before I started recording. Okay, so that's an update of what's going on with me. Uh, and oh, this is coming out on the day before 420. Saturday is 420, which is really lame. Is that well, it is my friend Erin's birthday, but that's another thing. That's another little update in my life. I cannot touch THC right now. There is something about it where if I even try to have like a 5 milligram gummy, I the anxiety kicks in and I am like thinking that the world is falling apart and I am worrying about what's happening at work and I'm worrying about the content that I put out myself onto social media. And so I haven't been able to touch weed uh either. And so it's like, how am I supposed to decompress and relax? Just sit with my thoughts? I don't know. Okay. Anyways, all right. But for today's episode, did I mention it's a solo episode? Yeah, it's just us. But I am going to show us a few videos from TikTok. I came across some TikTok drama. It is a TikTok drama website episode. And with that, I thought it would be fun to review the the drama in question. Now, I dissected this video with a fine tooth comb. I have lots of notes, so I'm probably going to be reading off of those a little bit. But I came across a TikTok video last week. Now, all the conversations have been had about this creator with this video. I wanted to have this be last week's episode, but as I've mentioned, life has been too crazy and I didn't get a chance to do it. So we're doing it now, a little bit late, but I believe his name is Leo Skepi. I think that's how you say his last name, Skepi. He posted this really, I think, out of pocket take on TikTok about fat people and their fat people and our desire to fit into mainstream brands and just this idea that brands should or shouldn't be catering to people of all sizes, creating clothing that goes into extended sizes. So I watched this video a few times. I have some thoughts on it. And then there are some follow-up videos in relation to this that I thought were really good and, worth watching. And because this is in the space of, body neutrality and body image, I thought this would be good for us to take a look at together. So I'm going to pull the video up here and I'm just going to be stopping intermittently to give my 2 cents. So I just want to throw that out there as we watch. Let me get set up here. I have this. I really hope my mic doesn't go out again. Let the show begin.
A brand not making your size in something does not give you grounds to talk shit and degrade the brand.
Yes, it does. If I'm not sitting around talking shit and degrading brands that don't service me, then what am I doing? Okay, moving on.
Brands are allowed to want a certain look and image with their products. They are allowed to make things for the people they want to make them for.
Putting a pin in there. Sure, brands are allowed to want a certain image and make their product for specific people. But why? And what if a brand didn't want to service specific people? Like, let's say they didn't want to service people of color. Would that be okay? No, it very obviously would not be okay. But when they don't want to service extended sizes because they have a certain look that they want to achieve, that's okay.
I've been seeing too many people talking shit recently, and it's pissing me off. People are allowed to have preferences, and brands are allowed to create an image with what they want and have a specific type of person wear what they have. Not everybody needs to be catered to by everything and everyone.
Okay. But why are you so mad? You said that not everything needs to be catered to everyone, buy everything to everyone. But how does that relate to making clothes for fat people? Like that, I don't understand. Like, okay, fine. Not everyone should be catered and accommodated, but also why? And I just don't understand how that relates to making clothing that fits people. Okay, moving on.
And this is a lesson I had to learn when I was fucking fat. I used to think clothes just weren't flattering. No, babe, the body wasn't fucking flattering. But a lot of brands don't make my size and a lot of shit still.
There it is. The body wasn't flattering. How can you sit there and say that? Or maybe it's because even though you don't look like a fat person now, but you were a fat person and you hated that about yourself. And now you've done all this work to no longer be a fat person and you're still having trouble finding clothes that fit. So that means no one should be able to wear clothes that fit. I think it's a little bit of still feeling like a fat kid inside of him or fat person. I don't know when he lost weight. But it feels like you're rebelling against this idea that people should be accommodated when you were a fat person and you weren't accommodated. Okay, moving on.
And if a piece of clothing is not flattering on you, it doesn't mean the item or product is not flattering or is not good. It's not made for you. I'm a size 16 shoe. A lot of brands don't make my size. Do I waste my time and lend my energy and focus to what I don't want and what I can't have and attacking brands for not making my fucking size? No.
Okay. A little bit to break down there. So being a size 16 shoe is not the same as being a fat person shopping for plus size clothing. Yes, it's annoying to not be able to buy shoes from mainstream brands, but one, plus size clothing should be accessible in trendy styles at an affordable price point. It's much more of an emotional process when shopping for clothes than when you're shopping for a shoe. But now that you mention it, as a woman with a size 11 foot, yes, I'm a big bitch. It's frustrating when I can't find high heels or a dainty style of shoe in my size. Now that you're talking about this whole shoe extended size thing, which brings me to my second point. Brands should sell size 16 and up shoes. Even though it seems that this is relegated to your feet, you are a member of the extended size fashion community. You would have way more options for shoes if you decided inclusion for more sizes was a better alternative to exclusion. And on top of that, as I was watching this, I was able to really write out my feelings on what this elicited in me as somebody who's lived in many different shapes and sizes of this body and what the process has been like for shopping. I felt a lot of emotions come up, and I'm glad to be able to, break it down here on the podcast. But a major thought that came to mind as I was writing this out was people live under this false assumption that because the human body has the ability to fluctuate weight, this means that people that are fat shouldn't complain about not having options for things like clothing, because if you lost weight, you could participate. But because things like height or shoe size stop growing after a certain point in one's life, this means there is nothing anyone can do to change that. So there's no moral value put on an individual's height or shoe size. But the thing that society needs to to get real about is that for some people, their weight is just as unchangeable as someone's height or shoe size or eye color. That's what I have to say about that. Moving on.
Every single human being is very powerful. You have to be careful with where you put your attention and your focus. For you to stick your attention and your energy on what doesn't work for you, what is not made for you, and what brands don't want you to wear their fucking shit, you're never gonna have mental space to think and look for and discover brands that are made for you. You can't keep focusing on what you don't want and find what you do want. Get your fucking attention off of the shit that's not for you and the things you don't like. I'm never gonna find my size in shoes that I like if all I'm doing is sitting here crying how most brands only go to a 13. Fuck them. I'm gonna go buy the shoes that go to my size.
Okay, so this whole portion about energy doesn't really make sense to me. What is taking up mental space for me is my inability to find clothes at an affordable price point that are cute and slash appropriate for how I am needing to dress. What am I supposed to do? Write out manifestations that I'll be able to find a cute sundress that fits my body at a thrift store? If we don't talk about brands needing to have realistic extended sizes, then how can we expect to get them to? Also, why do you feel like it's a waste of energy for someone that's a size 26, 28, 30, 32 to want mainstream fashion brands to have their size? I'm not understanding how that is a waste of mental space.
A key point here, if my focus is nothing but stuck on the brands that don't make my size, I'm gonna feel nothing but frustrated, irritated, singled out, and pissed off. That's a waste of your energy. Being a human being is a very valuable experience and it's a very precious thing. Don't waste your fucking time on the shit that's not for you. Don't let useless nonsense irritate you.
Here's the thing. I do feel frustrated, irritated, singled out, and pissed off, but it's not on useless, pointless bullshit. We need clothes. People need clothes. Do you know what brides did before plus size bridal wear? They either had to make clothing themselves or starve themselves to fit into the standard sizes available to them, maybe even a little bit of both. Now, due to demand, there is plus size bridal wear. But you know what? It could be better. Anyone that's ruined a girl's day out bridesmaids dress shopping because their fat ass couldn't fit into the sample size at the showroom, so they locked themselves into the bathroom sobbing how she's going to ruin the wedding by being the fat bridesmaid, and now the group is late to their brunch reservation, knows that. Of course, it can always be better. My whole point is finding clothing that fits is not useless and it's not pointless.
I know social media has a big fucking mental illness of its own with contributing to people lacking perspective of what really fucking matters. Clothes not being in every single person's size is very, very minute and a very minuscule thing compared to what else is going on in the world. Maybe go the fuck outside and go experience some real contrast and see what other people are really dealing with and living with, and you might be a little more appreciative of your situation and the fact that you can go find other shit that does fit you.
Okay, sure, there is war, there is famine, there is homelessness, there is all these horrible things that afflict people in this world. But if I have the time and ability to create more inclusive sizing, I'm pretty sure that also benefits the less fortunate, as you put it. The less fortunate person also needs clothes. I think someone in a worse situation than me socioeconomically would benefit from size inclusion. And we're not going to get there by not asking for it or demanding it.
Brands are allowed to do what they want. I'm not saying they're right or wrong for discriminating. They're gonna do it. You bitching about it is gonna do nothing but ruin your emotional state and your mental state. That's what I wanna protect you from. I gotta be a little harsh with you because I love you. But get your fucking focus off the shit that ain't for you so you can find what is.
Okay. I fear we've lost the plot. And I went to the comments to see how people felt about this video. Now, you can't go to the comments of this video anymore because the video no longer exists on TikTok. I just the moment I saw it, I had a feeling it was probably going to be deleted. And thankfully, Leo had the download feature on, so I was able to rip it from the site before he deleted it. But I went to the comments to see how people were feeling about this. And the comment someone wrote that stood out to me that made this entire video make sense to me was that Leo was being capitalism's toughest soldier. And that really, really, really made this video make sense to me because I understood that mentality under capitalism. So let me explain. Just the idea that brands will be brands, brands are brands, and they'll do what they want, and don't let that ruin your emotional state is rooted in the idea that when you do not have the money, you do not have the power. Let's just let the profitable company tell us what's acceptable, and if you don't conform, then you can't complain and your business is not welcome here. But yet brands will say that they care about size inclusion and use it as a branding tool. Like if I just think about Aerie in, was it, I'm trying to think what year this was. I think the Aerie, the offshoot American Eagle brand that did bras and underwears and sleepwear. Um it was probably about 2008 to, like, let's say 2012. Aerie had us thinking that this represented real women. Okay. So they're using the language to sell to us, but not including everybody. And another TikTok user pointed out that brands actually could include standard extended sizes and it be a profitable endeavor. But because it's not as profitable as the standard sizes, there's no money or manufacturing put towards making the larger, less profitable than standard sizes clothing. This is why energy should be put into brands to make clothes for more body sizes. Also, the other point there is, have you seen what Torrid sells? You really want me to put my energy towards that? It's like the CEO of Torrid hates fat people. And this is all a big joke to them. You expect people to put their energy towards buying clothes from one of the few retailers of plus size clothing and feel good wearing a circus tent looking dress? I might as well wrap a dirty sheet around me and call it a couture gown. Either way, I've lost all my dignity. And it would just be nice to walk into a shop and be able to buy something off the rack, even though I'm not a standard size person. And for everyone else, that's an extended size person, no matter where you fall in that range. Okay. So that's a breakdown of that video. And again, I by no means have hate towards Leo. I actually commented on the video when he posted it because I believe it was posted on Monday, the 8th of April, which was the day of the eclipse. And I remember commenting, I'm just chalking this up as a victim of the eclipse because the energy was really weird that day. And there was a lot of, I feel like misguided energy being sent out. But there is a video that I'm going to play for you that I really feel like articulated my feelings about Leo's video better than I really could and made some extremely good points. So I wanted to share that. And here we go.
If a brand not making my size doesn't give me grounds to talk shit or degrade them, then why am I still in their mission statement? Why do they call themselves size inclusive, even though they stop at an XXL? Why do they say they make clothes for everybody, even though they stop at a size 20? Why do they say that they empower all women when they stop at an XL? Do riddle me that. And I think this whole conversation is about audacity. But you seem to have more of a problem with my audacity as a fat person than brands' audacities to take our confidence, our joy, and use it to sell mediums and larges. And you think that I need to be a medium or a large before I deserve to feel fashionable, to feel confident. This is all about audacity. And there is no issue when it comes to other conversations of inclusion, but plus size clothing is where you're drawing a line. And that's very telling. But do let me tell you and tell everybody else that I will continue to let brands know that if you're going to include me in the mission statement, you will also include me in the size chart.
I have nothing else to add. That was perfect. That was perfect. And in that video, that was by creator Samra, Samyra. And the link to her page and the TikTok video will be in the description of this show, as well as a link to Leo's page. But please, please go if you want to, check out Samra. I really, really, really thought that that was so perfectly put. And why? What Leo said was stupid, just flat out stupid. And again, not a knock against his character. I'm not by any means mad at him, but it was definitely misguided. And what I really, really, really enjoyed that Samra did in that video that we just watched was actually included screenshots from these brands' websites and pointed out how you're including me in the branding, but you're not including me in the size chart. So that's that. Okay, now the last video I have to see before we conclude today's episode is the subsequent apology that Leo put out. And I did want to make sure I referenced this because I think it was very illuminating why he felt the way he felt in the initial video. So I'm going to get that queued up. Okay.
All right, to hit this properly, the ego is checked at the door. I got some shit to own up to. I deleted the video because it does the opposite of what I want to do. It made a lot of people feel unsafe with me, and that's the last thing that I want. So this is not going to be a sappy apology video and be manipulative to try and win anybody over. This all made me realize the time in my life when I was overweight actually does trigger the fuck out of me.
And there it is. Just as he showed his hand at the top of the original video, here he is flat out saying at the top of this apology, his own former fatness triggered him. And as someone that has spent an entire episode of a podcast talking about this, I think that it's okay and a valid reason as to why he may have made a mistake with the original video. Let's continue.
And it's not the body and the way that I looked that triggered me. It's the painful mindset I was stuck in that I do not want to be reminded of. My whole childhood and early adulthood, I felt very trapped and powerless in a body and a mind that I hated. It wasn't my physical appearance. I thought it was. It was really feeling like I had no control over my life and what that perception did to me. And now whenever I feel powerless, I say jarring shit to myself to snap me out of an old mentality and look for empowerment.
Okay, trapped and powerless are very big, visceral feelings. So it makes sense that being fat was traumatizing to Leo. And feeling the way Leo felt could be a coping mechanism. He said it himself. He says shocking, jarring things to himself, and it helps him move through those feelings. And we all have coping mechanisms that maybe don't make sense to people. Like for myself, my coping mechanism is making jokes, sort of like this idea of I'll make the joke before anybody else can. I'll be the one saying it before anybody else could say that to me, as my coping mechanism.
But me sharing that in the fucked up way that I did was to help a lot of you, and it ended up hurting a lot more of you instead because you feel like I judge you for the way that you look. It also made a lot of people feel like I was judging them for wanting to feel included. That's not what I stand for at all. I never want anyone to feel uncomfortable or unsafe around me, ever. But the way that I said things in that video made a lot of you feel disempowered and criticized instead of feeling like I was looking out for you. And that's always my actual intent, and that don't sit right with me. So the video's gone. But not finding my size in things is something I deal with daily. I'm 6'7" and a size 16 shoe. Clothes are a pain in the ass. Shoes, rarely ever find. Bags, the strap rarely long enough. Doesn't fit over my body. But that's a situation for me that makes me feel very powerless is when my size is not made. And like I said, I stay triggering shit to myself to look for the control I do have when I'm looking at things that make me feel disempowered. And when a brand doesn't make my size, I look at it like saying, fuck them, versus giving them my attention and begging them to include me or bullying them to include me. It's 2024. These brands know that people come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. They're aware. They're choosing not to make certain things. Either it's a financial decision or it's an attempt to actually exclude you. But my personal relationship to that is feeling disempowered and not giving any of my attention to it. But not everybody has my same relationship to this scenario or the same relationship to feeling powerless. And I don't like that my shit made a lot of people feel hurt. That's my thing to deal with. Everybody is allowed to freely speak their mind. Shouldn't have said that because I was doing it in that video. But the thing I should have communicated better was I find my power in absence. So I'm not going to give attention to the brands who don't cater to me. I'm going to go find the brands and focus on the ones that do, or make my own stuff when I can. With all this being said, my aversion to powerlessness and my own relationship to it and my poor communication of that made a lot of you think that I have an aversion to you because of the way that you look. And I want to make sure everyone knows that is 100% not true.
So a lot of people didn't like the apology, and I think it's because they are annoyed that this is Leo's perspective. But I feel like he can't help that he can't help being a handsome dude that can have that attitude of, oh, fuck them. This makes me feel bad emotions, so I'll try to find what I need elsewhere. When for most of us, that advice doesn't work, and the original video didn't feel motivational. It felt more like he was telling people to stop whining and accept whatever table scraps capitalism decides to give you.
I actually do want to say thank you to everyone who voiced their opinion and told me how hurt you were by this because it really made me reflect. When people say I'm hurt, that's my wake up call of like, you did something, because that's never my intent. So instead of sitting here and saying I'm sorry, because those are just words and they don't do anything for anybody, I'm going to give you my word that I'm going to continue to do any work necessary to make sure that you always know and feel that I'm looking out for you and I'm here to protect you.
And that was that. Okay. So just want to point out at the end of that apology, he keeps saying that this isn't an apology. And he doesn't he keeps saying that he doesn't give an apology, or that this isn't a simple I'm sorry. But I feel like that's just a poor choice of words on his part, because I'm getting the sense that he's sorry. And I think if I go back and watch that 3 minute, 49-second long video, I think he does say that he's sorry and that he feels bad that he made anybody feel badly based on what he said. And he's basically saying that this is where I was coming from. And I don't think that if you're fat, you're disgusting and gross. And I don't hate you for being fat. Um, Again, extremely misguided. Do I think he's the worst person in the world and a enemy to fat people? No, I don't. I think that this is sort of where we are at in with social media is the first thought that comes to your mind, you come and you post a video about it and you likely offend a lot of people. And believe me, I understand. I'm in the business of offending people. You know, I post a joke and someone comments that it was, bad for victims of abuse. So it's impossible to put an opinion out there and not offend people, especially when you have a huge following. But I do think that it was worth, sort of breaking this down and discussing. And based on that follow-up video, I did feel some satisfaction. And I did think to myself, Leo, they can never make me hate you. I did see him posting some weird follow-ups to his stories, which is a very underutilized feature to TikTok, a very underutilized feature of TikTok. And it's not meant to be permanent, where he was sort of handling the clarifications to both of the videos. And some seemed a little bit out of pocket of those storied videos. You can't even go to his page and find them now because, again, I don't remember what he said. And again, the posts were impermanent by design. So I can't remember what he said. And I don't feel like, scouring TikTok to rehash the whole thing again to see what he was posting as a follow-up to these. My point was to review his perspective, give my opinion on it, and use it as an opportunity to point out how size inclusion with more brands is a realistic goal, especially when the same brands are not making the extended sizes and are using fat body inclusion as a marketing tool and profiting off of us, but not actually including us. I kind of had this realization recently at the thought of airplane seats and how, oh, if you're fat, you have to buy two. And that is something where it's like, I don't need to be capitalism's number one supporter in saying you're one body, one soul. That's even how pilots will refer to one's self on a plane as a soul. If there's 47 people on a plane, they're referred to as 47 souls. Why does one soul, one body need to purchase two plane seats just because of their size? I think that this idea of anybody that's not fat saying, oh, because you're bigger and you take up two seats, you need to buy two seats so that Spirit Airlines can get more money, so that United can get more money and still not ensure that the planes are safe for air travel. I feel like because we live in a capitalistic society, and I believe me, I understand needing to I understand why we do, like it gives us the freedom to start businesses and make money and all that stuff. But these big corporations just cracking down and making seats smaller. Yeah, maybe if you're a super skinny person, it doesn't affect you, but it will affect the person that's 6'2" or 6'7", whatever. Now you got to pay more money to get a more comfortable aisle or chair on the plane, and it's all a little bit ridiculous. It's so expensive to live, and I don't really think we need anybody, you know, um, siding with major corporations. It's crazy. So that's what I feel about that. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. I hope you've enjoyed the Taylor Swift album. Now that you've listened to this episode, go listen to that. I'll give my thoughts on that next week, hopefully, and send my little doggy dog healing vibes so he gets better. That's when I feel fat today. I will talk to you next week. Bye.